Hello friends, you are listening the Alec Award winner novel The Mysterious Call by author Master Namish Shastri. This book now is also displayed in New Delhi International Book Fair from Feb 10 to 18, 2024. So, if you are interested in hard copy of the mysterious thriller novel, go grab one from the International Book Fair at Pragati Maidan, Delhi. And as always, please like and share this video and do subscribe my channel. Now without further ado, let's hear the next chapter of this award-winning thriller novel in the voice of Richard Carlsen, the protagonist. Enjoy!
The Mysterious Girl. Emily, my wife, comforted me. She knew that I had an extremely long day. Emily was around my age, in her mid-30s. She stood at 5 feet 7 inches, had sharp features, a well-built figure, natural blonde hair, and contrary to popular perception, a beautiful blonde with an extremely sharp mind. She was a crime reporter and had conducted interviews with all the big-shot mafias, whether it was Henry Walter, Sam Ross, or Forbes. The commissioner of police used to provide her with lots of sound bites. She met me, and I admired her beauty with brains attitude. What she saw in me was doubtful, perhaps my legend, the hawk-eyed super detective, Richard Carlsen the Great. We had been happily married for the past 3 years. We didn't have any children yet, but that was never a concern for either of us. I believed that Emily understood me far better than any of my criminal nemesis or police friends. I took Emily in my arms, but before I could say something, Emily pointed towards a lady sitting on the sofa set in our living room. It was 8:30 a.m., and it was early for a guest. I could see her from behind, and I was curious about this early morning visitor. "Miss Taylor has come to meet you, Richard," Emily said, holding my hand and leading me to the sofa where Miss Taylor was sitting. "Hi, Miss Taylor," I greeted her. Miss Taylor was around 10 years older than Emily, just as Watson was 10 years my senior. Miss Taylor appeared petrified, and I was unsure of what to say. "Tell me the truth, Richard," Miss Taylor said, her eyes teary and her tone weepy. "I beg your pardon," I responded. "Please, Richard, Miss Taylor is extremely disturbed. Don't play games," Emily said with irritation. I wasn't sure whether Miss Taylor knew about Watson's abduction or suspected it, or perhaps there was some other news that had her so upset. I chose to ignore Emily's comment and asked Miss Taylor again, "Miss Taylor, you may need to tell me the complete story so that I can help." Miss Taylor burst into tears, and Emily was taken aback by my attitude. She handed Miss Taylor a glass of water. I remained in a dilemma. I didn't want to break the news to her that her husband was missing, as it would cause more trauma. Unless, of course, she already knew. The way she was behaving seemed to suggest that she did, but I didn't want to take chances. "Lewis called me," Miss Taylor said after controlling her emotions. Emily was sitting next to her, rubbing her back gently. I understood what was coming next. "He asked for Watson's pictures so that he can circulate them to various police stations. He told me, Watson has been missing since the last midnight." Ms. Taylor said everything in a clear tone. She was looking at me as if I were the culprit. "Richard, please don't hide facts," Emily said in a stern voice. I didn't like this aspect of Emily. She unnecessarily became too bossy at times. "Miss Taylor, no one knows for sure that Watson was missing. He might have gone after the criminals. Richard, can you explain from the beginning?" Emily intervened. I knew that unless I satisfied Emily's queries, she would not let me speak to Miss Taylor. I said, "Last night, around midnight, I received a call from a girl who told me that a gruesome crime was going to happen at Bungalow, No. 9, Notting Hill, residential area." Miss Taylor was not interested in these details, but I could sense that Emily had donned the hat of the crime reporter she was. I ignored the sentiments of both these ladies and continued, "I thought it was a hoax, but Watson insisted that I must address the call. He forced me to visit the place where the crime was about to be committed." "You didn't want to investigate something, the famous Richard Carlsen, but Watson insisted." "Interesting," Emily intervened again. Miss Taylor was feeling suffocated as she could not withstand the drama going on between us, husband and wife. Nevertheless, I continued. I reached there. A girl opened the door, but then she shut the door bluntly, asking me to get the search warrant. I went to call Forbes from a nearby telephone booth, leaving Watson behind. When I returned, neither Watson was there, nor the guard who had met me. I met a new guard. So it was a setup. You shouldn't have gone to arrange a search warrant. You should have barged in when the girl opened the door. Emily again intervened. But Emily, I wasn't sure whether any crime had been committed. Moreover, barging in without backup would have been risky for both me and Watson, I responded. Miss Taylor was looking at both of us, flabbergasted. I could tell that she was now getting extremely angry. I said, Emily, I will explain the details to you later. I then looked at Miss Taylor and said with a softer tone, Miss Taylor, when Watson connects with me, I will let you know. I thought I had given her some comfort, but she went into absolute shock. She had not said anything earlier, but now she wasn't even listening. She lay on the sofa, and Emily gestured for me to go inside the room. Without uttering a word, I went inside the room. I heard Emily saying to Miss Taylor, Don't worry, Watson will be safe. I shut the door. I was extremely tired. Without changing my police uniform, I lay on the bed and fell asleep in no time. I didn't realize it, but I had been sleeping for almost an hour when I heard banging at the door. I opened it, and it was Emily. The police commissioner Forbes is online. He wants to speak to you urgently, Emily said hurriedly. Oh, okay. I got up and rushed to the living room. Miss Taylor was not there, but Emily pointed through her fingers, indicating that Miss Taylor was resting in another room. I nodded and picked up the receiver. Get ready. There is another boat coming to London Port with the same consignment, Forbes said with intent. What? I was shocked. 2 consignments on the same day within a matter of hours. I will reach London Port immediately, I said. No, Forbes said. I am aware of the threat to your life. Alex is on his way. Before I could say anything, Forbes disconnected the call. Emily was behind me. She said, Another consignment at London Port. I was shocked. How did she know? Simple. I overheard a few words and could guess the rest, Emily said innocently. She was a sharp girl. Emily poked. Then what happened last night? Did you find anything at the bungalow? I always hated Emily prodding too much. But I loved her, and I knew that she had sacrificed her career, but she couldn't take her investigative journalist DNA away. I thus always explained everything to her. In fact, many of my colleagues said that someday, if Emily goes to the police station instead of me, she could handle my work. Nothing much, but I found an alpha combat. Alpha combat. That means your adversary is extremely dangerous, Emily said. Yes. Also, I got a tip from Forbes that some salt consignment was coming, so I went to London Port. Salt consignment is no crime, Richard, Emily said shockingly. In fact, the London Port's in charge also was behaving strangely, precisely due to this reason. He believed that the police were apprehending someone who got salt. Well, I will not blame him, Emily said. But Emily, the drug mafia had gotten hold of a process whereby they could convert cocaine into salt or a powdered sugar-type substance. What? I don't believe that, Richard, Emily said. Yes, Emily, and that's why it was difficult to prove that it was cocaine. But then the kick. Will it be similar to cocaine? Emily questioned. Yes, the disguised cocaine, which looked like salt, would be sold at an extremely high price, and it will create the same addiction as cocaine. Whenever we catch hold of these substances, the defense lawyer would take a technical plea that these substances are not cocaine or any other contraband, and the court would acquit the culprits in the absence of concrete evidence. That is a smart plan, Richard, Emily exclaimed. Before we, husband and wife, could discuss the matter further, there was a ring at the door. It was Alex. He was spot on time. Emily greeted him and brought him straight to the living room. Alex had a file and he sat down. Alex said, Mr. Forbes wants you and me to be at London Port. Let me just freshen up, take a quick bath, change clothes, and then we will leave, I said politely. Okay, I will wait, Alex said. Emily said, I will prepare coffee for you two and something to eat. You both should eat a little and then leave. Alex wanted to say something but then decided against it. Emily was a good cook too. I rushed to take a bath and Emily got busy in the kitchen. Alex was sitting in the living room on the sofa and reading the file he had brought. It was primarily the map of London Port and nearby areas. Soon I came out, and Emily had also prepared coffee and sandwiches. The three of us sat at the sofa set when I told Alex, "Yes, tell me what you've got." Alex wondered that Emily was sitting there. He hesitated. I intervened. "Don't worry, Alex. Emily knows everything. In fact, she only answered the call from Mr. Forbes. We can discuss in front of her." Alex nodded. Emily had a glint in her eyes. She wanted to be part of such conversations. "Mr. Forbes received another tip," Alex continued. "What? Forbes is still so connected with his network that he receives tips directly," Emily intervened. "Yes, Forbes was a celebrated cop and yet he has a strong network," I answered. "And thus, I got you the full map of London Port and also the surrounding areas," Alex said. Alex then opened the file and the map. He continued, pointing at the map, from Grangemouth, Scotland, where Allen Manufacturing Company has its large factory, the salt is produced, which is then given the shape of a drug, and it is shipped through Carlsen Marine and Transport Company. "Interesting, Richard. There is a Carlsen Marine and Transport Company, too. Your surname is popular," Emily mockingly said. Alex and I both ignored her, and I looked at Alex to continue. Grangemouth Port is around 460 miles, and from various cruiser-stern narrowboats, this salt or cocaine is shipped to London Port. From there, it is sent to the warehouse of Allen Manufacturing Company in London, and then to various drug dealers. "They could use road transport. That would be faster," Emily chimed in. "Yes, Emily, but they were primarily using road transport for the past couple of years. But then Forbes received this tip. And since then, London police made it difficult for these mafia lords," Emily intervened and concluded. We both nodded. "So, what is the tearing hurry that brought you here?" I asked Alex. "Forbes has received another tip." "Understood. Another boat is coming, but that is surprising." "Yes, Richard. The first boat was apprehended around 4 a.m., and now, at 10 a.m., another boat," Alex said. "Well, dear cops, I feel this is usual," Emily said. Both Alex and I were surprised. "The mafia would generally send the goods in 2 or 3 parts," Emily continued while Alex and I were watching her with intent. "This is to ensure that even if one of their own captains turns rogue, they don't lose out in full. Moreover, in such eventualities, when one such boat is apprehended, the other has time to run away." "I understand now the purpose of that flare," I said. "Yes, Richard. Gun flares generally are the signal to indicate that there is danger," Emily said. Both Alex and I were looking at Emily in awe. Though she was too nosy, her insights about the drug mafia or criminal minds in general were extremely helpful. She had been a celebrated crime reporter, and some 3 or 4 years back, she would be the best in the business. Therefore, I also never mind engaging with her. She, at times, becomes too bossy and nosy, but then everything has pros and cons. "We must leave ASAP," I said. "Yes, according to Forbes, the second boat must have reached by now. The tip suggested the landing time as 11 a.m. on the 6th of October, Alex said. And it is almost 11. "Let's leave," I said. I rushed and got ready. I adorned the new set of my uniform, checked my Smith & Wesson 10 pistol, and also kept some extra bullets. Alex was already ready. I gestured to Emily about Miss Taylor, and Emily indicated through gestures that she was sleeping in the next room. I kissed Emily and left with Alex. It was almost 12:30 p.m. when I told Alex, "Arrange for a cigarette boat. We are going to Grangemouth." "What?" Alex questioned. "Yes, please do it fast," I said. "Okay." Alex left to arrange for a cigarette boat. A cigarette boat runs much faster in the sea than a narrow boat. The distance of 460 miles from Grangemouth to London, which a narrow boat may take 36 hours to cover, could be done in just 8 to 9 hours by the cigarette boat. Alex was efficient and arranged for the cigarette boat quickly. In no time, he and I were in the boat, and I was driving it. I had driven such boats many times, so it was nothing new for me. Alex was still perplexed. Alex, focus on timing, and you will understand my action, I said to give him some clue. Alex went into deep deliberation and then said, You mean that around 4 a.m. the first boat arrived from Grangemouth? It means it might have started around 36 hours, which is around 4 p.m. on October 4th. You are approaching it right, I added. I was driving like a pro, and Alex was mesmerized looking at my driving skills. I could drive any vehicle, whether on the road or at sea. Alex was not aware of this skill of mine. He went back to his calculations. As per Emily, the Mafia might have sent the second shipment after a few hours, say at 10 p.m., and it would reach here around 10 a.m., Alex said. Yes, Alex, and around 4 a.m., Customs, on the request of Forbes, caught hold of the first boat. The person left and fired a flare shot, a distress signal. But the other boat might be 80 to 100 miles away by that time. It would be difficult for them to watch it. Alex, how are you so sure that there was not a third boat? There could easily be a third cigarette boat, like ours, who was watching these shipments, I questioned. You are right, Richard. Probably after the truck seizure, the Mafia might have learned their lessons, Alex added. Yes, Alex. That's why the person jumped into the Thames, and he knew that he would be saved. Otherwise, no sane person would jump in the middle of the river, knowing that it was impossible to keep swimming for hours. He knew some help would come. Yes, Alex. Alex now understood why Richard was given the matter. Forbes knew that if anyone can solve this puzzle, it would be Richard. His experience, approach, and thought process were beyond anyone. He could see and fathom things that none of the officers could do. Where are we heading to? Alex questioned. We are going to Harwich Port, I answered. Alex's facial expression changed. Don't flinch, dear. If we are lucky, we would encounter that boat with salt-cum drugs in between, I said. I started the journey, and soon I diverted to Harwich Port. Alex questioned, Why Harwich? If my estimation is not wrong, those people might have left this boat at Harwich Port on some pretext and had run away. Alex was looking confused. See, Alex, they were running from the police and customs. They were in a narrow boat that could not match the speed of a cigarette boat, which generally these officials have. So the best course was to leave the boat as soon as possible and run away. They might have left the boat either in the mid-sea or at best near Harwich Port, which is around 85 miles or so from London Port. Richard, you calculate fast. This means when the first boat was apprehended around 4 in the morning, the other boat would be around Harwich Port, Alex ejaculated. He was impressed by my skills, and the same was clearly visible on his face. Thanks, I said. Alex now understood why I was studying that map so deeply when he brought it to my house. I was finding the escape route that the second boat crew would use. Soon we were near Harwich Port, and I could see the boat stranded. Alex got thoroughly impressed. That's why I was getting the Hawkeye accolade year after year. We, with the help of local port authorities, parked the boat. The crew members of the boat might have run away, presumably in that cigarette boat, which might be there to help these two boats. David was the only crew member that we have got with us. Others had fled away, and one unfortunately died. I was sure that these lowly crew members would have gone, and by now told their bosses that their boats had been seized by the London police. The Forbes informant, in a matter of hours, had caused a huge loss to Sam Ross. The cocaine, I estimated, in this second boat would also be worth around £1 million. Was it that girl who was behind it? But how did she manage to intimate Forbes about these two boats? According to Forbes, he received the call around 3 in the morning. She was in their custody last night at that time. It was all a huge suspense. Alex was busy with the formalities. We had the declaration for this boat, which was on similar lines. Allen Manufacturing Company had shipped salt through the boat, registered with Carlsen Marine and Transport Company, Grangemouth. The goods were shipped from the Grangemouth factory of Allen Manufacturing Company to the London warehouse of the same company. I went to a local phone booth and dialed Forbes. This time Forbes answered on time. It was around 4:30 p.m., so it was expected. This is Richard, I said. Yes, Richard. What is the news? Forbes inquired. We have apprehended the second boat, too. It was stranded near Harwich Port. Harwich Port? Forbes asked. He had a tinge of confusion in his voice. The first boat was caught by customs around 4 a.m. in the morning. The second boat, which was following it, was around Harwich at that time. According to my theory, there was a third boat, a cigarette boat, which saw the flare signal and went back to intimate the second boat crew to run. So they all ran away, but you got the boat. Yes, sir. Not only the boat, but almost £1 million worth of cocaine. What? £1 million? Forbes got the shock of his life. Yes, so in a matter of hours, your informer had ensured that the drug mafia suffered more than $2 million. And don't forget the truck, Forbes said with pride. Yes, sir. If I add the truck also, that means the drug mafia is down by more than £2.5 million. That will break their backbone. It was a huge loss. The leakage of this news to your informer and the apprehension of that truck might have caused the death of Johnson Allen last night in Bungalow No. 9, I added. What? Is there any connection between your last night's investigation and this? Forbes questioned. Yes, sir. As your informer has told you, the drug mafia, with the help of Lakshmi Plant, was disguising cocaine as salt and shipping it through Allen Manufacturing. Johnson Allen was the owner of Allen Manufacturing. Forbes intervened. Right, sir. Understood, Richard. So for the past few years, they were making a lot of money. But somehow, Johnson Allen had leaked the information to my informers, and thus in the past few days, the drug mafia suffered. Allen paid the price for his negligence, Forbes said. He was glad that he got Richard on the case. Yes, sir. However, there is a small correction. What, Richard? Forbes added. Can you tell me the name of your informer? I said unashamedly. Richard, Forbes shouted. You know informers have to be nurtured and their staple diet is confidentiality. Sir, if I may add that you have no informer, I said unabashedly. Forbes literally fell from his executive chair. How could I know that? Forbes did not know how sharp I was. Forbes said in a chaffed voice, How? I mean what? Let's not keep secrets, I said firmly. Forbes got the shock of his life. He never knew that I was such a capable person. Forbes knew about my ability to solve crimes, but the ability to read between lines this sharply he experienced for the first time. Forbes conceded, You are right, Richard. Tell me the truth, I demanded. Some 2 weeks back, I received a call from a girl and then a report by post. The girl said that there is some process by which cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, etc., contrabands were disguised as salt. You did not believe it, I intervened. Yes, but I asked Dr. Jonathan to verify. He confirmed that there was a paper published by Prof. Lakshmi Trust of Edinburgh University. Jonathan told me that there were rumors in the narcotic department a couple of years back that Lakshmi Trust is helping Henry Walter. But with the death of Walter, it died down. Then Dr. Jonathan told you about the Lakshmi plant, its latex, and its flower juice. Yes, Richard. However, it was still in theory when a couple of days back, I received a call from that same girl. She told me that Allen Manufacturing's goods were coming by road. I sent Alex and Dr. Jonathan, and to my surprise, it was really cocaine and not salt. Then you received a call last night, I added. Yes, around 3 p.m., when I thought to involve you instead of Alex alone. I was not sure that the Bungalow No. 9 murder that you are investigating belonged to Johnson Allen, the owner of Allen Manufacturing. So it is one mysterious girl who is behind the famed and perilous London Mafia. She alone has caused them a huge loss, I said. I didn't realize until you said so. She indeed is a brave girl, Forbes said with a tinge of pride. He was happy that there were such bold citizens. Or maybe she is extremely committed to the cause, I said. Forbes didn't understand what I wanted to say, but I was sure. This mysterious girl was no ordinary girl. She was determined to destroy the mafia at any cost, and she was not afraid of the consequences. This was personal. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, I immediately thought of that idiom. Thanks, sir, it is helpful, I continued. Please give me a warrant to search and seize illegal material at Allen's warehouse in London. That I will do. However, for Allen Manufacturing's factory in Grangemouth, Forbes was about to say something when I intervened. I know that I have to get it from Tullyallen Castle, I said, and cut the call. Forbes was pleasantly shocked. Forbes's respect for me as a professional went up many folds. He had never met a sharper and more intelligent detective. He was happy that he had involved me in the matter fast. I was now clear. Mysterious calls, not only once, but many. First, that girl tried to reach out to Forbes. Forbes involved Alex and apprehended the truck. Then she called me. But why? She could have called Forbes. Maybe she was misled by those cigar butts in that bungalow and thought of calling the police station instead. I wasn't sure. I was there with Watson, and the girl wanted to tell us something. Somehow, we didn't get the clue. Watson was missing. I got more worried about him, because things were looking dangerous. My thoughts were disturbed by Alex, who had finished his business and, after much difficulty, had found me. "Shall we leave?" Alex said. "Alex, do you know a good sketch artist?" "Sketch artist." "Yes, Alex, I want that girl's sketch to be drawn, whom I met last night. She is the one who was calling Forbes and me." "How are you so sure?" Alex questioned. "I am not, but somehow I have a premonition." Alex was confused. However, he said, "I know a very fine artist. Mariana, the best in the business." "Good, take me to her." "Mariana is in London," Alex said. "Then let's go back." "I guess all our work here is over," I said. Alex nodded. We both then hopped in the cigarette boat, and by the touch of dusk, we were back at London port.